Oh, I love that episode. And then I seen the movie, and I don't know what they're on that movie.
So Canada is that it gone with all the most.
Welcome to the language course. This is amazing teacher here.
Hi.
Anyway, we have a new person tonight. You can't really see her on there, but that's okay. Oh, there she is. This is Amy Ashes. So, we will start off by writing her name in the evidence. Just for this one, sorry. Okay. So this is A, and this is M. What does that mean? Not that I know of.
It's like and D, so maybe we can find some deep correlation.
Well, I know in Latin, it means go over.
Oh, what was that? Amo, Amas,
Amamus.
Yes, I forgot that one. What was it? What second to last? Wait, no, Latin too. Amanis. Amanis. We both took Latin together.
Yeah. With Sue.
Sorry, Sue.
Got it?
Yes. She was the teacher. So basically, in the past two lessons, they are online. We talked about basic pronunciation, and we've gone through the first few letters they got, the first few rows. Basically, A, J line, and K line. And then this week we're going to be going over the S line, which also happens to be the same as the J line, but you'll see what that means. So, last week we went over Ka, Ki, Ku, Ke, and Ko. And then we also learned what the 10-10 was, which is basically just a dash dash. So there's Ya, Yi, Gu, Gen, Go. That's all that's needed to turn that from Ka or K to G. And that's going to be the same thing we learned in this lesson with the S line, going from S to J. So we'll go over that in a bit. Or S to Z, I'm sorry. She turns to J. So again, there's some weird exceptions. Okay. So first of all, we'll go over the basic pronunciation on page 58, the very first page. And we'll do sort of what we always do. I'll read it, do that. Okay. So first one, Dare.
Dare.
Watashi.
Watashi.
Boku.
Boku.
Yeah, and over time they overwrite the letters that you're supposed to already know.
Okay.
So, Anata.
Anata.
Kanojo.
Kanojo.
Kare.
Kare.
Namae.
Namae.
Tomodachi.
Tomodachi.
Not to be confused with Tomodachi. Tabun.
Taboo.
Gakko. Gakko. It's like ga space ko. It's a long O sound. O. So gakko.
Gakko.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure my Tomodachi is probably very dead by now.
Oh, I thought you said Tomodachi for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's an app now. A Tomodachi app for smartphones. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember those? Maybe they also had a Digimon version. If you remember those.
Pokemon is a start out as a glorified.
And yeah, we had that Pikachu one. It was basically a Pikachu top. I had one of those. Or Pikachu.
I think Seth had one of those. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Seth.
And so you're making global content for you. It's like you're here.
Alright, now the next one you gotta be sort of careful on. It's Tori. It's not to confuse with Tori. Tori. Is that there's two R's. Torri. That is like one of those red gateways you see. Whereas Tori is bird.
So just like Tori and Tori.
So, yeah. Tori. Tori.
Oh my god, you just everything was enunciated.
Oh yeah.
So is it like
There's a
an
cameo.
extended R for the B? Or like a T?
Well, it's that space in between. So like on that goal, the one you just did for school or high school, I think. Oh. Yeah, so Tori and Toti. So, yeah, so there's a space.
You should know that. We're by from
I remember it.
Yeah, it's on here.
Okay. Two more. Sensei.
Sensei.
Nihongo no sensei.
Nihongo no Sensei. You can't really see the Sensei on this one.
No, it's probably sort of weird there. You got like on the shadow. But Nihongo means Japanese language. Whereas like Nihon would just mean Japan. And so sensei is teacher. So when you say Nihongo no sensei, it literally means teacher of Japanese. So like if I were to say Kamada no Brandon, Brandon's camera, camera of Brandon's. And so you probably heard this a lot on anime or television shows. So this,
Oh, yes.
which basically means that's right. Like, oh, okay. So this.
So this.
Yeah, the U on the end of this is sort of silent. The next one, chigaimasu.
Chigaimasu.
That's wrong. Well, I mean, you guys did it right. Mhm. Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's a lot of quickness. But you just say so, just like, oh, okay, instead of so this. And like what you're learning here is a lot more formal, where they'll be able to understand you can speak it when you're in Japan, but of course they have their own way of doing it.
It's easier to learn those first, then to break it. Otherwise, you can't.
Right.
And that sound, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense when you think of it during the martial arts thing with breaking boards. Anyone can break the board, but once you get like 3 or 4, it's better to know how to break them first.
Very true.
Otherwise, sword hand, elbow, whatever you decide to break.
Okay. Yeah, and I still talked about this in the first lesson. The word boku means me or I, and usually only males use it. So watashi, everyone can use that. But boku is male. Because Japanese was predominantly a male language. Like in the very beginning, females were not allowed to write anything in Japanese, which they mainly used kanji for. And then eventually Buddhist monks made hiragana, hiragana, which we're using now, and when we're allowed to use that because it wasn't sort of an official alphabet yet. So what do you want me to use this kind of watashi? I don't know if that's
Watashi is
oh, here we go.
But that's the idea.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
After that.
But would men use watashi?
Yes. I've heard like after about a year or so living in Japan, men sort of switch from watashi to boku. It's sort of like a thing, and they don't use it all the time. It's really more to certain elements. So it's like, at least from what I've heard. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it's kind of an adorable word when you think of through Western things of declaring all this Boku. Oh, it's adorable.
Oh,
Yes.
Rome is good. And
oh, that's
Yep.
all right.
It's a mistake Americans make for Mississippi a lot. So most Americans say,
So,
good.
No wonder people from the U.S. just get looked down by their friends. It's like, yeah, you keep on talking about my ass.
How about Boku? I believe.
Let's go at it.
Okay.
hmm.
That's good.
I'm so annoyed I can't get a Boku or a Shinai on campus.
I actually want to go.
Yeah. I could kendo. I want to practice kendo. Nope. No, I can't have it. But the baseball players can have the aluminium bats.
You know what I find funny? I'm not sure which state this really applies to, but if you have one or two swords in your car, it's illegal. But if you have three or more, it's considered collective.
In certain states, you're not allowed to have shuriken or nunchuck because they have no decorative value, supposedly. But you can have a gun.
So
Okay.
it's totally decorative.
Another thing I love is in the U.S., you can have as many guns on your person as you want. You can't have a police.
Yeah, that's true. You can have
And you can't have a pair of knuckle dusters.
Yeah,
I was like,
because
yes,
it's
here I am with 12 guns on my person, but nope.
It's the concealable.
Are you telling me that certain handguns that are this big are not concealable weapons? Dude,
It doesn't need to make sense. It's
Yeah.
the law.
yeah, I'm in Australia and all these weapons laws and stuff, it's just like insane. We have one shooting in Australia, so there's like, and if you don't farm.
Back to the lesson. All right. Back to the question word, dare.
Got it?
So, dare means who. So we go from nan desu ka, what is it, to dore desu ka, which one, to dare desu ka, who is it. So like, Atarashi no hito wa dare desu ka? And we would reply, Yamanashi desu. Who's the name? Alright, so using wa with dare. Usually the subject comes first, and then is who. So like blank is who. So number one, anata wa dare desu ka?
Anata wa dare desu ka?
Where anata means you, and then wa dare desu ka? So again, if you sort of think of it in notice, you, who is, who is you?
Anata wa dare desu ka?
Exactly.
If someone here can link me to a Japanese dub of Star Wars films, that would be awesome.
I have Japanese Lord of the Rings Scotland, it's hilarious.
Oh, God.
Imagine
We're
watching every single day we can watch that one night. VR immersion. Okay, so for number one, you're going to ask each other, "Anata wa dare desu ka?" And you're going to reply, "Watashi wa running desu." So like, "Watashi wa Brandon desu." "Watashi wa James." So, RJ. What? Hmm? Okay, okay, yeah, you get it. Alright. Yes.
Oh, you said the question
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, basically number one.
again?
So, anata wa dari desu ka? The ka is the question. And then you're going to reply with the line right below it, but instead of the Kobayashi, you're going to.
Okay.
Alright, so go for it. Anata wa dare desu ka? Watashi wa dare desu. Yep, perfect. Anata wa dare desu ka?
Watashi wa dare desu?
Yep.
Okay. Anata wa dare desu ka?
Watashi wa dare desu. Anata wa dare desu ka?
Watashi wa James desu.
Alright. Got it. Alright. Then we're just going to read through the next three examples, okay? Kare wa dare desu?
Kare wa dare desu ka?
Kare wa tomodachi desu.
Kare wa tomodachi desu.
Next one. Sensei wa dare desu ka?
Sensei wa dare desu ka?
Yamada-san desu.
Yamada-san desu.
And then again, san just sort of means like Mr. Miss, just some sort of formal thing. The only ones you do not address with san is if you know they are a doctor, a teacher, or someone that imparts knowledge. So that would be sensei. So doctors are called senseis as well.
Same situation of like, and you know, here and there, because we want to call it, you know, that's from this.
Yeah, you know, if they're a doctor, like even a doctor in psychology or something like that, you still don't call them doctors. So,
It's just the whole thing with the Miss, Ms, and Mrs. It's always been confused. I don't know what that means.
so at least with san, you're sort of safe.
They don't
Yeah.
call.
They call it
They want
Miss.
But don't call him Mr. Comer. You do not call him. Anyways,
Oh, I made a fool of myself today, didn't I? Double it.
but anyways, I just remember about the guys.
Now we're gonna just go to the next page. And again, this goes into the whole thing where Japanese is pretty much entirely based on context. So like their example here, number one, looking at an unknown person in the photo. If you were to just read this next sentence, "Dare desu ka?" without knowing any context, you wouldn't know who in the world they're talking about. You can talk about anyone in the world. So you have to sort of know what is going on in order to discern what they're talking about. So the person is assumed. So you could say, "Shashin ni ano hito wa," you know, this person in this picture, well, dare desu ka? Who is this person in this picture? Instead of saying all that, the person knows, like, you know, you're looking at the picture and you're like, "Dare desu ka? Who's that?" Just like in English, we don't have to say, "Who's the person in this picture on the right 30 centimeters to the left," or something like that. So again, it's really hard to come in the middle of a Japanese conversation. Someone you don't know calls you on the phone. Dare desu ka? Who are you? Looking at a girl in the hallway. Dare desu ka? Who is she? So a lot of these, you're like, Dare desu ka? Who is it? Well, someone's at the door. Dare desu ka? Who is it? Okay. Okay, we sort of hit on this a little bit, although I didn't emphasize the actual grammatical thing. Starting sentences with or without question words. It's common to start sentences in English with a question word. Who is that? Which person is that? Which one is that? When is this going to happen? So it's sort of like I said before, like, Shashin ni, in the picture, ano hito, that person, wa, dare desu. Dare, the question word who, doesn't come until almost the end. So just sort of like in here. Kore wa nan desu ka? What is this? So this, what is? Yeah. So again, yoga speaking. So not the question word doesn't always come first. So you gotta wait until they're done speaking in order to discern what in the world they're asking about that person. Because they could be asking how old they are, not who are they, how tall are they, no. Right. So unless you can really discern what they're about to ask, then you sort of gotta wait and be patient.
In some ways, I actually think it's preferable to English. I'm sick and tired of being interrupted.
With the interruption from casual conversation. Less apparent, and less common. I guess he knows.
This one I never actually really hit too much on. Start a sentence with a question word using ga. You can sort of switch off between wa and ga as subject markers. Ga is used only in question words, I believe. Whereas wa, the other subject marker, is used for everything. But wa is not actually written as the Japanese letter wa. So you're going to have a subject, and you're going to have your subject marker, which is actually ha, but it's pronounced wa. It's just one of those things in Japanese you got to get used to. So whatever word comes before the letter wa, ha is the subject. So they call this a subject marker. And then you have your verb or adjective or whatever, and then your verb. We'll just keep it simple. So if you say, since your name's pretty short, I'll use the beginning name. Ami wa this. Amy is. So you have your subject. So if you didn't have one, just say Ami this, you could do that as well. It's sort of a cool building thing. So you can have anything here, and then your subject marker. So that shows that's the subject. If you don't have that, then you can continue on and say like, Kamada no Ami wa desu. So Amy's camera, that would be the subject then. If you say Kamada wa, then camera suddenly becomes the subject. So when you use a question word, dare, use the word, subject marker ga, which is one that we learned last lesson. And that becomes the subject marker. So question word, subject marker, verb. Sorry for those of you at home if you can't see that. I know we've had trouble with reading the board. Oh, all right. The next one, next section is what we just talked about, making something possessive. So like, Kamada no Ani, or Kamada no James. James's camera. And of course you can switch that around. Watashi no kamera. Boku no kamera. Anata no kamera. Kanojo no kamera. Kare no kamera. Dare no kamera. So the particle no basically means of, in a way. And then you sort of read it backwards. So camera of James. Kamera, James no kamera. So that's basically a pretty decent section right there. Oh yeah, so if you ask who something is, Kore wa dare no desu ka? This, whose is it? You can just reply and like, watashi no. You don't actually have to say this. So, watashi no desu, anata no desu, anata-san no desu, kanojo no desu, oba-san no desu. So I have a bit of a blank there. Are no desu, oka-san no desu. Alright, so we are going to page 65, section number 3, the question and answer. We're going to sort of read through these. Alright? I'll read the English and Japanese, and then you just repeat the Japanese, alright? Who is it? Dare desu ka?
Dare desu ka?
It's me. Watashi desu.
Watashi desu.
It's Hideko. Hideko desu.
Hideko desu.
It's mom. Oka-san desu.
Oka-san desu.
Number 2. Whose car is it? Dare no kuruma desu ka?
Dare no kuruma desu ka?
It's my car. Watashi no kuruma desu.
Watashi no kuruma desu.
It's mine. Watashi no desu.
Watashi no desu.
It's Mr. Takada's car. Takada-san no kuruma desu.
Takada-san no kuruma desu.
You haven't picked up on it yet? Kuruma is car. I don't know. Wakarimasen.
Wakarimasen.
That is a good phrase. Okay. Which one is your rabbit? I'm going to split this one up into 2, okay? Dochi ga anata no? Usagi desu ka?
Usagi desu ka?
That one over there is my rabbit. I'll split it up. Sorry. Achi ga watashi.
Ashi ga watashi.
No usagi desu.
No usagi desu.
It's that one. Sochi desu.
Sochi desu.
Not to be confused with the Winter Olympics. Number 4.
Sochi desu.
Which is actually, I didn't say that. It's Sochi. Is this your car? Kore wa anata no?
Kore wa anata no?
Kuruma desu ka?
Kuruma desu ka?
Can use that car.
Come
Yes, it is. Hi, so this.
I saw this.
No, it's my friend's car. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, someone asking you who markets.
Someone that you know who is this.
No, it's her car. Yeah. Kanojo no.
Yeah.
That one to us all.
Kanojo.
Kanojo.
No.
No.
Kurama desu.
Kurama desu.
No, it's hers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Kanojo.
Kanojo no
desu. Correct.
No. That's what I
Yeah.
no days.
Kanojo desu.
Kanojo.
Oh man. No days.
Kanojo.
Yeah, no.
Desu.
There's too many N's.
Kanojo no desu. I still said it wrong because I threw an N instead of D's. Another next, I said.
Alright, enough of that right now. We're going to skip to page 67 and go over the new Higana. And if you guys actually want to follow along on page 69, you can write down them as we go. Because I'll be going over the stroke order. How you're supposed to write them. Yeah.
I had one at the beginning of the day.
I think I'm going to do a small short one.
ありがとうございます。
Oh, gosh, this is boring.
I think you can see our previous lessons.
Oh, yeah, wow. I'll let the people know on the phone.
I would
I
do
just
it
don't
for
think the
later.
library. The other side's clean. I just reeled it in the wrong way. Oh, that's fine.
I'm so
What's happening?
fine. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
So you go with your friend, let's distracted. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, how's that?
Steam.
No,
Ignore the bump.
What?
Okay, so we're going to start off with Sashi, Su, Ze, So. Now, if you notice, this one sort of deviates from the normal Ai, Ue, O, Taki, Kukeko. It becomes Sashi, as in sushi or sashimi. Alright, so we have Sa, which starts with a horizontal line. Going down, there's a little hook on the end, and it's almost like you're doing a music note as it comes down and back up.
Neither makes right there. Down.
Does it matter if the bottom line, you start from left to right?
Yeah, you'll always want to go from left to right.
I don't know if it's getting better or worse every time I do it.
Oh, you guys don't mind. There's actually JDIC, JapaneseDictionary.com. They have a really cool, like, animated way of showing how to write stuff. Like, they'll do it just sort of like I did. They'll show first line being drawn, second line, third line.
So is it just JDIC.com?
I believe so. I'm sure if you just Google JDIC, you'll find it.
I mean, there comes an extensive time. I can really write our Roman letters in an effective manner and stuff. Work on that.
But on page 67, they do sort of have the stroke order written out for you. But the next one's pretty easy. The next one is sheep, yeah. And it's basically the show. one line, turn stop.
Look, Mom, I can do hiragana.
Go. Alright, now Sue, that one's a little more difficult because you don't want to make the circle too big, you don't want to make it too round. Now, how I learned Sue, you have the horizontal line. So you have the straight horizontal line. So let's do this right. And then you come down, and you almost make an oval on the same line. Probably a little bit different than that. So here they have a little more of a curly cube, like they almost have a 9 on the bottom. But you almost want it to come straight down back along that line.
Like this.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You probably can make that.
So that they kind of create a suit and sheet like sushi.
We just don't have like sushi.
Yep. Sushi. Just go out. Sushi. Sushi. Sushi.
We're done.
Sushi.
There you go. Kyoto. Which is actually the same letters. Tokyo, Kyoto. Oh wow.
Old capital, new capital, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Or a new capital, I say we just turn letters around.
With say, the right actually comes first because it doesn't come all the way down. You can put a hook on the end, but generally. Now, so I actually learned that one differently than what they're doing on here. But I guess we'll go ahead and learn it on here, though, as they have it on here. And then I'll learn it later.
Not both methods, maybe. We'll get to speak about it.
Well, okay, so basically you're going to have a Z. Oh, hold on, sorry. I made that way too big. Yeah, and this is all going to be one stroke according to them. It's sort of a C on it. You can make that a little more rounded if you want to stylize it.
Is that big enough for a Z?
Okay, which one of these do you think is the best idea?
Yeah. I'd say mix between, let's see. Yeah, just try to make that top line a little bit shorter. And it'll be yeah, there it is. Now, the way I learned was actually 2 strokes. You have a sort of a dash here, and then you come down like that. So basically, it's like taking that line and turning it a little bit. Sorry. So I don't know, you might see it that way handwritten, but when it's typed out on a computer or on a pamphlet or something like that, you're going to see it like that.
I have a burning question. There's 2 really big issues coming, but how, like the Japanese keyboards, are they in hiragana or are they in kanji?
No, I've never seen a kanji one because there's too many.
Yeah, I thought of one of those.
I think I did see a Chinese keyboard that was like this big with all the different rounded ones. It's like a piece inside an art museum, but inside it.
Maybe like way back in the day when they did tile printing, like for a printing press, they had each individual tile. I mean, the Japanese use 1,942 every day, 47 every day. And the Chinese, they use. So just think of trying to find that and just make one sentence. But from what I've seen, they can be hiragana, and they'll have katakana on them as well. But mainly from what I see, they're English Romaji keyboards. And what you do is you actually type it out like ZO, and it types that letter. If you ever use like a Japanese IME, which is basically it's basically software you install on any computer. Like I have it on here. I can type in Japanese. Basically write out how it is in Romaji. So like if I typed in SUSHI in hit space, it'll come up sushi. And then you hit space again, you can go into any kanji like that. It'll show you the drop down. Cool. But you need to know which kanji you need to use, which I don't.
I was one of those friends that always had,
Because when I used my host family's computer, they had an English alphabet keyboard, but we had it set up just like how I was explaining. I didn't want to switch back and forth because I accidentally hit a key that made it go back to Japanese. So in the middle of my email, my parents, it's like, "Hi, how are you?" So I had to retype that in there. Then next, we just have homework, basically. Woo, homework! A lot of homework.
they're not messing around with this stuff.
Well, this class is Japanese.
Learn every bit of it.
Oh, we didn't do our going through the kind. Oh, and basically to turn that to sa, shi, or za, shi, zu, ze, zo, again, just add the 10 cents. And make some. All right.
Excellent. These together.
Yeah. It's like you put two B's together and it'll be called a double U. It's genius. Screw people up for years.
Okay, they have bay and they have doble bay.
Yeah, they actually have the.
They actually call it double B.
Yeah, I know.
Bueno.
That's one of the few things that I remember from my dance course. I had to I think a foreign language, and when I was going to high school, we just got rid of German. So it was Spanish or nothing.
Oh, I just never did one.
When I was a little kid in Australia, it's kind of like, you get to take two languages a year and you're kind of forced to. First half of the year is the French, the second half of the year is Spanish. So it screwed me up. I did not know her language by the end of it. Je m'appelle James, comment ça?
We catch it over the language I found out, but if you're just doing it just you have to connect it over
No, you're fine. Well, this is a very informal class. It's cool. All right.
You're going to be offering this next semester?
Yes, but not in the spring. So, I'll probably do that in the spring.
Fair enough. Always get 2 semesters out of this.
I'm here over the summer, so if I didn't even know this summer,
After I'll be here over time. All right. I'll be gone, but I will follow you guys on Facebook.
I will not be able to because I will be in the middle of nowhere in Zambia. So, I'll be learning to chip. I'll really be able to get like a week out of it because the other language is very interesting, especially because you get to the numbers and be like, I'm going to teach you the right way. They told me numbers. 1, 2. Their number system only went up to 5, so no one uses it.
Oh, wow. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna again read it and you repeat them back, and then we'll go around the table and I'll mix them up. All right. Sa,
Sa,
shi,
Shi, Su, Su, Se, Se, So,
So,
Sa,
Sa,
Shi,
Shi,
Su,
Su,
Se,
Se,
So,
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 Se,
Se,
Su,
Shi,
Sa,
Sa,
Shi, Su, Shi, Se, Shi, So,
Shi,
Sa, Su, Sa, So, Se, Sa, Shi, So, Su, Se. All right. That's it pretty good. All right. So we'll start with James and work our way around clockwise. All right. All right. Here we go.
Se,
Su,
Shi,
She, no, wait, was that right?
Yep, you got it. So,
So,
Su,
Sa,
so,
Se. Thanks, James. There you go.
so,
so.
Now we're just gonna switch it up really quick.
stop breathing. I'd say 10 times harder.
All right. We're gonna do the same thing. All right. Za,
Za,
Ji,
Ji,
Zu,
Zu,
Se,
Se,
Zo.
Zo,
So,
Za,
Za,
Ji,
Zu,
Se,
Zo,
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 Ze,
Ze,
Zu,
Zu,
Ji,
Ji,
Za,
Za,
Ze,
Ze,
Ji, Za,
Za,
Zu, Zo. All right. So pretty much everything starts with the Z except for G. Yeah.
Gigi is grandpa, right?
Or G side type thing. All right.
Not sure about that.
All right. So here we go. Starting with James again. Now we'll go clockwise.
Man, mess with this. Too much. Too much at once.
All right. Ready?
Right. Za,
G.
Ze,
So,
Zo,
So.
Se,
G,
Sa.
Ze,
so,
Se.
so.
So basically, what we're going to do, the first few pages you should be able to get pretty easily. It's basically just writing in the blanks and copying the vocabulary. Um, That's not a bad book to start with.
Yeah, I'll take all of I can get, given I plan on living. My goal is to live here the next 2 or 3 years. So, I guess
live in Japan, not live here.
2 years.
Here's an interesting thing. On 72, they show Samui, which is cold. Now, I actually learned a colloquial term for that from the Sabui, which basically sounds like you have a cold and you're saying Sabui. So, yeah. So that's the word. And then, of course, you all know the one on the top right.
Yeah. Now, when you get to
Yeah, like
page 73, it starts getting a little more interesting when you get to the complete sentences. If you guys have any trouble with that, let me know. If you want help, I guess.
I look at Batman against the wall, try to get these sort of things. I just don't, like, I feel like the school of hard knocks and you know, like, I don't understand this point. Oh, they don't have to think about it. Talk about that.
I think it would be Pingu.
I feel like it's a battle of attrition. You learn new languages, sometimes you just gotta keep on.
Would that be
doing
right?
things
Penguin
until you
is
get it.
but Penguin is they probably don't have any
Really? I don't know. They have zoos in Japan, so why wouldn't they have any? There's a penguins are awesome. Yeah, there's a pet penguin in Japan. How do you say penguin in Japanese? Penguin.
Hold on, wait. What is the pet penguin?
That would be awesome. I mean, isn't this cool getting a pet?
It's almost like a neon Genesis. I feel like pet penguins.
Pet.
Sorry. And that's katakana. So as you can tell, it sounds a lot like the English word. So, and again, katakana literally means borrowed word. So kana is word. So anything that's not native Japanese is katakana. So like our names, like those are written in katakana because they don't have a Japanese equivalent.
Actually, I'm gonna be frank. I'm gonna say I'm very mad at you right now. Now I want to rewatch all the Evangelion movies.
Well, they're depressing, so you can't hurt yourself for that. Until next time on the Japanese class, you all stay classy.
Arigato.
Arigato.
Jamata.